It's amazing seeing the mix of different species and people and kinds of characters.
We're in these incredible, fantastic worlds and planets.
Because this franchise is so large and so huge and so tremendous, there are many stories that have yet to be told.
Take 9, Mark.
Set a course for Pagano. When you're working inside of the motion capture volume, you have cameras on the ceilings, on the sides, and on your face. And they're capturing every single bit of your biomechanics.
We can literally run and chase each other and jump and take swings at each other. So it's the closest to playing in my backyard at 8 years old of any job I've ever had.
Action.
Please welcome Cameron Monaghan to the stage.
I'm Cameron Monaghan. I play Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Cal was a young Jedi Padawan during Order 66 when all of his kind were murdered. He escaped and managed to hide out on the scrap planet of Bracca. He became a scrap worker and someone in hiding and someone kind of paranoid and fighting for his life.
What's this? A Bracca scrap rat playing Jedi.
And also, he's rough around the edges, and I think he kind of does like to fight, too. Gonna need to get through here. Healing stim. You're full of surprises. BD-1, our buddy droid, is a wonderful addition to the droid family. He was sort of designed as like an adventure companion.
By having me operating this little guy as a placeholder for the animators, it's also nice for the other actors to have something to play opposite, and so that's kind of fun because then I can inject a little personality I feel that BD-1 has.
The two of them have a really wonderful relationship. In many ways, I think Cal's kind of best friend across the story.
Real moves on you. Okay, shut that thing off and grab some seed.
Seer and Grease enter into Cal's life explosively, and I think that Cal is of two minds about it.
You've been surviving on your own for so long that it's impossible to trust anyone. And it's what's kept you alive.
I think that ultimately he has to do this mission because this is what he was made for. He's a Jedi trying to restore balance. Before we do anything, I need to know something. How come you're no longer a Jedi?
Seer Junda completely cut the Force out of use in her life. I had an experience that changed my perspective. And she decided that she would not use the Force because using it might pose a threat to not only her, but to others, which it already did to a certain extent.
Yeah, the Mantis is my ship, but you better pay attention to this lady here.
Grease Dritus is not, let's say, the most affable Latiron. He's had some hardship in life. He doesn't trust people too much.
What is that? Get off my sofa, get! I hope you found something better out there than this droid.
Oh, calm down, Grease.
He's got something he's running from, and it puts our hero in a very precarious position.
Let's see what he's got.
Damn it, Grease.
But, by the way, a nice guy. Heart of gold.
This place seems abandoned, but...
You trespass, Jedi.
Hi, my name's Tina Ivlev. I play Marin in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
You must be a Night Sister.
Dothamir is forbidden to you. Leave at once.
Easy.
She's from a coven that is extinct now. She's the last of her kind. She can raise the dead pretty much whenever she wants.
Cal and Marin come from a similar background of loss they both experienced watching those that they care about die.
She's spent her entire life growing up believing that the Jedi are responsible for killing her sisters.
They will have their revenge.
Marin has a wall up in a similar way that Cal does at the start of the story.
It takes him proving himself over and over and over and over again for her to realize, like, okay, maybe this guy is telling the truth. That was really fun for me to play because Marin is socially, like, she doesn't understand, like, what a normal relationship between people looks like. Sorry.
Who was that back there?
Imperial Inquisitor. She's a Force user hunting Jedi survivors.
My name is Elizabeth Grujon, and I play the second sister. She was training to be a Jedi, and her master ended up betraying her not only by leaving her behind, but then also by giving up her location to the Empire.
It plays out in such an angry and powerful way when she becomes a second sister.
What it taught her is to love is to die, and to kill is safety.
She was tortured to the point in which psychologically and emotionally the damage had been done.
She's already lost everything, so she doesn't care about dying. There's a recklessness. It's like, I'll jump on the top of your ship and bring it down while I'm on it. Like, I don't care. I'm doing a dialect as the character, which just came to me very naturally.
Who's your master? Padawan? Someone I killed, perhaps?
She really enjoys hurting and wounding, so I wanted to hear that pleasure in her voice.
Not bad. You're learning.
And cut. Okay.
Now, I've done a lot of character makeup stuff where I've sat in a makeup chair for 4 hours, 5 hours before I got to the set. Getting to put grease-dritis on and not have to go to the makeup chair, that's an extraordinary gift.
The cast and crew have become such a family. We do warm-ups together before every rehearsal. We have breakfast and lunch together every day, so it feels like, hey, like, these are my people.
I hope that people walk away with a really wonderful sense of these characters, of the adventure and story that they've been along for the journey with. You know, the story is about learning to trust and trusting in the Force and what that means. It's about coming together for a mutual purpose and to trust in the fact that ultimately, if you do the work, then maybe, just maybe, the tide will change.
Every 3-year-old, 4-year-old, before they can possibly string a sentence together, can probably sing one of the Star Wars tunes.
I grew up such a huge fan of John Williams' music. In fact, he's probably the most influential composer on my own writing.
It's got that ingrained in the public consciousness. To be able to play with those toys is pretty cool. I'm Stephen Barton.
My name is Gordy Hab, and I'm one of the 2 composers on Jedi Fallen Order.
Relatively early on, Nick Laviers, who's our audio director, he was looking at the scope of it and was like, there's so much music in this, it's like one person isn't going to be able to write this, and this is huge.
Stephen Barton and I have been working together since Titanfall 2, and I wanted to bring him onto the project because I felt really strongly that he complemented what Gordy would be able to bring.
I got my start maybe 10 years ago working on Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it sort of snowballed from there, and I think I've written maybe somewhere in the ballpark of 20 hours of music for Star Wars projects so far.
We can look at it in terms of, you know, starting off with your theme.
Yeah,
and figuring
and then how do we
out
spot that
what
and-
moments we're going to do.
Yep.
We sit down and we'll play through sections of the game together, and we'll do kind of big spotting sessions while playing the game.
One of the things that's interesting about games generally now, but actually certainly this game, is that the line between cinematic and gameplay is becoming ever blurred.
Gameplay, you have to really think interactively. Like, this music may last 2 minutes, it may last 10 minutes. You have to sort of factor that in, like how you're building in loops or building in, you know, alternate endings or layering system where you might need to ramp up the intensity of the music, for example. But then writing for cutscenes was much more like writing for a film, where you have a finite timeline and you're writing music to fit that finite timeline.
He started out, I think, by really looking at themes of the main characters, and so you have this unique challenge with Star Wars where everyone knows all the Star Wars themes, and so it's like being asked to, you know, put an extra 6 feet on the top of the Great Pyramid.
We were trying to see how far we could push the boundaries of the John Williams vibe with it still feeling like it was in the Star Wars universe.
We start with such a small little cell of an idea for Cal's theme, for example, but over the course of the game, because there's so much gameplay, that theme really develops. By the end of the game, it's taken on a whole new life than it had in the very beginning of the game.
Thanks, little droid. Okay, let's try this again. Okay.
The favorite material that I've had to work on is everything to do with BD1, but just because it's such a unique and charming character.
Cal might go through some tough emotional moments, but BD is always going to be there to encourage him.
You know, very much the fact it's sort of a boy and his dog kind of story. The way to approach that musically was kind of like a nostalgia trip.
No, we are not doing that again.
There's a section in the game where you're on Kashyyyk and you're climbing the origin tree. It's about a 15 to 20 minute long piece of music. It's almost like a symphony that starts from the very ground level all the way to the top. That was probably my favorite moment to write for.
We are getting ready for our first scoring session in London. We've written about...
I don't know, probably close, almost 50 minutes of music.
Yeah,
that we've
probably
written
plenty,
so far.
plenty for a session.
We recorded Jedi Fallen Order's score at Abbey Road Studios in London, and we're using the London Symphony and the best musicians that London has to offer.
So any aficionado of Star Wars will know that from Empire through to the end of the prequel trilogy was all recorded there.
The first time I heard the orchestra play, I thought we were listening to one of John Williams' scores on the speakers, just sound checking.
It has a special thing, and you hear it. I mean, you really do feel it. You know, you're standing in the same spot that, you know, the Beatles' Day in the Life was recorded conducting a symphony orchestra. There's nothing better than that.
All right, we're good. We're moving on.
One of the things that Gordy and I have had a lot of fun with is finding versions of instruments that are sort of either forgotten or lesser used. So we have like a contrabass clarinet, and this thing looks like a plumbing fixture. I mean, it's huge, but it has something you haven't heard before.
Good.
Nice.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Good job.
Good afternoon.
Good job, team. Stephen has a very unique voice, and he's got a very colorful way of thinking about music.
It's incredibly rewarding to work with Gordy because there's things that he did with my themes that I'd never have thought of, and I was sort of like, just hearing them for the first time was a joy, because you're like, oh, I'd never have thought to do that.
Stephen brings very fine espresso coffee, and Gordy brings great whiskey. So between the two of them, they're an absolute delight to work with. I just love working with those guys.
I hope that when the player finishes playing Jedi Fallen Order, that they will feel like they were taken on a journey, in part because of the music.
We hope you love it, but I mean, I think it's one of those ones where we hope it feels like a cohesive part of the story, to the point where the game is part of a bigger whole. You certainly can't watch the films without the music. They're married to each other, so I hope we achieve that sense of just, you know, this is just a unique and an amazing ride.